Hi guys, I hope that you're all well. Today I wanted to do a bit of a chatty video with you today on the subject of vegetarianism, because I've been a vegetarian for a long time. I get a lot of questions about it. I get a lot of questions on this channel from you guys, and it's also National Vegetarian Week, so I thought that this would be a good time to do it. I will direct you below to plenty of great resources about nutrition, about where to buy great vegetarian food, good vegetarian recipe ideas. I'll link all that below because this video could go on forever, but I want to talk a little bit about me and how I came to be where I am today. Guess I should start by defining what I mean by vegetarian. The first question that I get asked when I tell someone that I'm vegetarian is, do you eat fish? And personally, I would consider someone that eats fish and a plant-based diet a pescatarian, but a lot of people do call themselves vegetarian but they still eat fish. Like I said, some people do eat white meat and still call themselves vegetarian, but in my eyes a vegan is someone that eats plant-based foods and avoids animal products. A pescatarian is someone that eats plant-based foods and fish. So some people call it lacto-ovo-vegetarian or ovo-lacto-vegetarian. Usually when you go on an aeroplane, that's what I tick, because that means they can give you dairy and no meat. So that's kind of what I mean by vegetarian. Sometimes I hate the stigma of being a vegetarian, or I hate the name, and I hate putting myself in a box, because I do like to eat a lot of vegan meals which are also vegetarian. But if I mention on YouTube, you know, I've made something vegan, people then want to know why I'm vegan, and I'm not. I just like to eat vegan food as well, but I'll talk about that more a little bit later on in this video. So I have been a vegetarian since I think I was 11, I might have been 10 or 11, I'm not sure, but definitely since I was 11. I have been vegetarian for quite a long time. I'm 28 now, and the only thing that I did differently at any point in my life was that I used to eat fish. In the very beginning, when I became vegetarian, I still ate the occasional tuna sandwich or salmon sandwich, and that was mainly because my mum would make them for me, and I think my mum was a little bit concerned with making sure that I was getting certain things. There were lots of substitutes in the shops, but nowhere near like there is now. I didn't know any other vegetarians, but actually no, I knew one guy that was vegetarian in my school, whereas now I feel like it's a lot more commonplace. You have things like meat-free Mondays, there's a lot of publicity for vegetarian lifestyle, vegan lifestyle, that just weren't there when I was younger, and definitely weren't there when my parents were younger, in the mainstream at least. So I think my mum was concerned at first that I should eat fish. I did that for I think a year and maybe 2 years, I'm not sure, but after that point I didn't eat any fish either, so I haven't consumed meat or fish products for a very, very long time. And one of the most frequent questions that I get is, do you miss it? And the answer is no. I would eat meat, but I was never someone that was like a big meat eater. I mean, I'd have a Sunday dinner and I would have chicken nuggets, and I would eat meat, you know, it wasn't a problem. It wasn't like I hated meat, but I'm not particularly a meat fan either, so it does not bother me at all. And I think people don't believe me when I say that I've genuinely never ever wanted meat since I decided. And I wish I could do that about like healthy living. I wish I could say like, let's not eat chocolate this week and stick to it. But for some reason the vegetarian thing is something that it wasn't even an issue. Like, it didn't even come into my head that I would ever want meat. It didn't happen. I went to ballet classes, and one of my friends from ballet classes was chatting to me about maybe becoming vegetarian, and I said that it was something that I'd considered in the past, and we decided to do it together. And she went on holiday, and after 2 weeks when she came back from holiday, I was still a vegetarian and she wasn't, and she forgot that we'd even agreed this. But yeah, I'm still a vegetarian, and I don't even know really what was going through my mind. I just knew that it was something that I wanted to do, and then the more I read about it, the more I knew it was the right thing for me to be doing. People often ask me, is it because you don't believe that animals should be killed, or is it because you don't like meat? And most people are more accepting of the I don't like meat story. Like, if you then say, oh yeah, I don't believe that animals should be killed, it gets a little awkward, and they're like, okay. Because if they're not vegetarian, they obviously don't agree with that, or they don't feel that strongly about it. And I just feel like I don't know, it can be tough sometimes because people then want to go into a moral and ethical debate with you, and they want to say, well, what about this? What about people that work in sweatshops? And it becomes a bit of it can be a little bit awkward, especially around a dinner table, and everybody's got their religious, political beliefs, whatever they want to believe. And it doesn't always have to come up in lots of social settings, but when you're vegetarian, it's socially acceptable to ask you for certain beliefs and your opinions on things, because you're not, I don't want to say you're not the norm, but it's not the mainstream. The majority of people eat meat, so it's seen as being a little bit different, and people feel like they can press you and ask questions, and I don't mind talking about it, but sometimes I kind of wish that once I would meet someone and they wouldn't ask me a question about why I was vegetarian, but I guess that's just the way it is. The main reason that I don't eat meat is because I have a real trouble with the idea of eating dead flesh, and it's not that it's the dead flesh of a cow or it could be the dead flesh of a human for all I care. It just kind of grosses me out, the fact that I'm eating something that is dead. That's really the main reason that I'm vegetarian, is that it just kind of grosses me out. And it doesn't gross me out when people are eating meat around me. Like, I don't even think about it. A lot of people say, oh, if I'm eating a chicken leg, does it bother you? I mean, if I was to sit and look at you and think about it for a long time, it would really bother me, but I would never stop someone from doing that, and I don't even think about it. I'm too busy focusing on my own delicious food to even worry about what anyone else is eating around me. That's kind of my mental block, is that it may as well be a human arm for me, because I'm just like, it's all kind of the same. It's all dead flesh, isn't it, at the end of the day? The other thing is, the animal welfare side is also important to me. It's really important to me, and when I was younger I was very, very vocal about it. I think I've kind of mellowed with age to the point where I still have the same opinions that I used to have when I was younger, but I don't necessarily have to go around telling everybody about it. If I'm asked, I'll discuss it, but I don't necessarily kind of preach to people about it. I don't think I was that bad when I was a teenager, but you know, you go through those phases when you're a teenager and you want to change the world, and I felt like I had to tell everybody. I would never interrupt people, but I was a lot more vocal about it than I am now. I feel like people know what goes on, and if they choose to ignore it, that's their decision, but it's not like you're really educating anybody about, you know, battery hens or things like that, because they know. I usually drink a milk replacement. I don't drink cow's milk that often at all, to be honest, mainly because I just prefer milk alternatives. There's nothing too convoluted about it. I just really prefer milk alternatives. I really like almond milk especially, and coconut milk I like as well. There's a lot of research into raw cow's milk and the fact that that's better for you, but a lot of our, well, all of our milk in the UK is pasteurised. And also the dairy industry is not that great. There are a lot of local small suppliers that are absolutely wonderful and that treat their animals really well, but there are a lot of huge corporations that put a lot of pressure on farmers, and it results in, you know, a lot of infections, in the milk not being the greatest quality. You've got a whole host of things going into your pint of milk, like antibiotics, pus and blood from the dairy. You know, I just prefer milk alternatives. But if I go somewhere and I can't have a milk alternative, it's not the end of the world for me. I just try and do the best that I can in my own home. In terms of eggs, I prefer to buy them from a farm if I possibly can, but I live in London right now, so it's not always easy to just go to a farm and get some eggs. But I do go to my local farmers market. Another question that I get asked a lot from my younger viewers is to do with maybe wanting to become a vegetarian and living with parents that either don't want you to be vegetarian or don't want to be making separate meals and cooking different things. And essentially, if you are living under your parents' roof and they are paying for your lifestyle and they're paying for your food and they're cooking and providing for you, there's not a great deal that you can do about it, and unfortunately you have to respect what your parents want for you, and you have to respect your parents' wishes. And I think the key is making sure that your parents don't think that it's a fad. I think probably my parents thought it was a fad when I first said that I wanted to be vegetarian. I think they probably thought that, because kids go through phases and you come home one week and you want to do something, and then the next week you want to do something different, and you're changing and finding out who you are as a person. And so honestly, I'm not sure what my parents thought. Maybe I should ask them. For my parents, the way they looked at it is that they just went along with it and they said, okay, that's really great, we'll go to the supermarket today, let's have a look for some veggie substitutes, let's see what you want to pick for the week and let's try this out. And they made it really clear that if I changed my mind and if I felt like I didn't want to do it anymore, that would be fine as well. They were just very neutral about it but supportive. And I think I was very lucky there because I'm an only child, so my parents didn't have to make meals for brothers and sisters. They had to make a meal for either us as a family or them and me, so it wasn't that big of a deal for my family. We didn't eat together on weeknights anyway because I did dance classes and I was in the youth orchestra and things like that, so I had to eat when I got in from school before I went off to do my extracurricular stuff, so my parents wouldn't eat with me during the week anyway, so it wasn't too big of a change, to be honest, for us. But I do know that that can be a real hassle for parents. I think a really important thing to consider is that if you want to be treated like an adult, you need to act like an adult. And if you want money from your parents for something, or if you want help for something, if you want money in the adult world, if you want money, you've got to go out and prove that you can pay off a loan. And if you want a job, you've got to go in there and sell yourself. And if you want, you know, to get a business backer, you need to go in and pitch something to someone. And I would look at it in exactly the same way. I mean, these are your parents, they're not business associates, but at the same time they want to see that you can stand on your own 2 feet and that you're passionate about something, but you're also not just acting with your heart, you're thinking with your head as well. And so if it was me, I would firstly research it. Do your research, see how, you know, you go on with it and see if it's something that you really could incorporate into your lifestyle at this moment in time. I think the key is isolating what your parents' concern is. So firstly, some parents are worried about nutrition. They're not educated perhaps about vegetarian or vegan lifestyles. The first thing so many people say to me is, how do you get your protein? I can think of 1,000,001 ways off the top of my head that I can get protein, and it's so easy to get protein as a vegetarian and a vegan that people don't necessarily realise that it's so easy. And I know that some parents can be worried that if you're still growing and you're still developing, can you be healthy as a vegetarian? If they don't know any vegetarians, they're going to be concerned about that. Do your research, show them what alternatives there are and sell it to them that way. If they're worried about money, maybe do some meal plans and say, hey, you know, this actually doesn't cost any more than if you were buying meat for the family for me to eat as well. And if they're worried about doing extra cooking, you know, volunteer to help. Maybe volunteer to cook the meal for your entire family one night, and I'm sure that that will go some way into kind of taking you seriously in terms of what your parents are thinking. And I think that that goes a long way. I think you just need to go about it the right way, and if they say no right away, be an adult, accept it and say, okay, thanks for considering it, and maybe go back to them with some more information when the heat's died down and they know that you're serious about it. I don't think there are many parents that would just be like, no, I hate vegetarians. I think it's often a more complex set of issues, and if you kind of break that down and show them that you're really dedicated, it won't be a problem. Another question that I get a lot is about my boyfriend Matt. Matt is not a vegetarian, and people often ask if he's vegetarian and how we deal with the cooking situation. Now, I'm a very lucky girl. I have a very nice boyfriend who is very flexible, and to be honest, I think most men are like this. They'll eat anything, you know. We do our fair share of stuff around the house, and I do most of the cooking because I enjoy it, because I'm trying to be healthier and I feel like I know what's going to be in my food. And I read a lot of recipe books, and also because I'm vegetarian, I know what's going in my food, and it's just easier if I do the cooking. He is really good. If I'm making something and it's vegetarian, he'll just eat the veggie version. I'm usually the one that tries to push meat onto him. I'm usually saying, let's get you some chicken. Don't you want chicken? Do you want me to get you a steak this week? Because I'm very conscious that I don't want him to feel like he has to eat vegetarian. But most of the time it's just easier because we only have to make one thing, and he's really good with that. And then if he wants to buy something at lunch and he's at work, he'll probably get something with chicken in it or something. And then if we go out for a meal, he'll probably have a steak. But in the house, he eats mostly vegetarian. And people also ask if I mind cooking meat. I don't mind cooking meat. I make Matt like chicken breast salad for lunch, and I'll make him a curry with, especially if we have guests over, I'll make a curry with like chicken in it for him, and then I'll just make a corn version or a tofu or vegetable version for myself. It's not a problem to me. I mean, I don't really love touching meat, but I don't think anyone loves it, you know. It doesn't bother me. I don't think I'm very good at cooking meat because it's just something that I've not really done. So if people come over, I try and cook vegetarian because I just know that it's going to turn out better. But I cook meat for people, and fingers crossed I haven't poisoned anyone yet, and hopefully they enjoy my cooking. It's just hard because I think a lot of the meat cooking is trial and error, and you taste a steak or you taste chicken and you know, okay, next time I'll do it a bit less, but I can't taste it, so I don't know. I also get questions about cost and how expensive it is to be a vegetarian and just health foods in general, and I want to kind of dispel that myth because it's not more expensive. Just it's not. No, it's not. A lot of people say that eating clean is expensive. A lot of people say that eating healthy is expensive. Eating vegetarian or vegan is expensive. It's as expensive as you want it to be. So if you go to your local small market, you know, just an indoor or outdoor market, and get all your fruit and veg from a good old-fashioned greengrocer, it won't cost you as much money. And you can get frozen things, you can get frozen berries. Frozen vegetables are just as good for you, if not better, because they're frozen at the peak of their nutritional value. You know, you really can make it as expensive or as inexpensive as you want to. I hope you enjoyed listening to my personal story and answering a few questions that you guys ask me a lot of the time. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in a couple of days with another video. Bye guys. And then the last thing I want to show you is this one, which is Annalise Raw Food Power. I have a few raw food books, but this one actually goes through her diary as she went through the journey of becoming completely raw. I don't think I could ever eat, well I could, I'm not saying that I would be unable to, but I don't think I want to eat completely raw. However, I do my best to try and incorporate some raw recipes, and I'm trying to slowly make more of my diet raw. There's lots of things in here, from juice and pasta sauces, ice cream, smoothies, school lunches, burritos. There's tons of recipes in here. It's a really, really great resource. So I will list all those below, and I'll list some websites where you can find out more about nutrition and just tips for being vegetarian. But I hope you enjoyed listening to my personal story and answering a few questions that you guys ask me a lot of the time. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in a couple of days with another video. Bye guys.